Welcome back to the Coliseum in Nashville. Last year, Eddie George played hurt and as a result was under 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Susie, that was a major disappointment for a guy who has always produced big numbers.
Disappointing, and he had to basically relearn how to run. You said last year you played on one leg, so how big is the difference between how you felt then and how you feel now?
It's a huge difference. I mean, I'm able to run pain-free without a limp, and you know, that's all what it comes down to, is just running freely and running healthy.
How do you prevent yourself now from doing too much?
I'm monitoring everything. You know, I've been getting a good amount of reps in, and you know, the more the work I get, the better I like it. So I'm really excited about this year.
Already a workout freak, but you spent the offseason working with Jerry Rice. What did you learn?
I learned a lot from Jerry. You know, there isn't enough time to talk about how much I've learned from him, just by watching him, not in words or conversation. But
he's back. Isn't that a great look?
I still don't know how they do it.
Well, you know, Mike, the little guy runs around on a parachute and just hangs over the field.
There's a magician that holds that thing up.
I still don't know how to do it. Sebastian Janikowski will kick off. John Sermon is deep. For the Tennessee Titans, they're on their feet at the Coliseum.
John Sermon is somebody that Jeff Fisher, the head coach of the Titans, is in love with.
They fake the pitch back to Sermon, taken by one of the up men and knocked down quickly as Greg Camella, the new fullback. Eddie George averaged only 3 yards carry last.
How he played.
And started every game.
McNair at quarterback, Camella in motion, and Eddie George the single setback. George straight ahead. And he bursts across the 40.
Michael, let me say, isn't it just apropos? You talk about a guy, here's a guy that was injured. Susie interviews him before the game starts. The first play from scrimmage, and it starts with the blocking up front. But look at that hole. That's vintage Eddie George.
Nice job by Brad Hopkins, the left tackle. Double teams with Zach Biller, creating a big hole on the backside.
He just caved in that side of the defensive line. McNair had a tip at the line of scrimmage. It falls harmlessly. Steve McNair, breakout season a year ago, career highs in touchdowns, quarter
wire as well, and it was on his shoulders.
And they went downfield more than they ever had. George, nice hole up the middle, runs right into Rod Coleman and is shoved back. Coleman says he's gained about 20 pounds this year. Used to wear him down in late ball games.
The one thing about Eddie George, though, is when he's healthy, he makes this move. He can get to the hole. Before, when he could see the hole, he just couldn't make the turn to get to it.
But the other side of that, too, Paul, is I've been so impressed with Eddie's 2 runs by Benji Olsen, the right guard, and Brad Hopkins, the left tackle. You can see them passing in front of Eddie 5 yards down the field, locked up on a defender, giving him a chance to run places.
And this is an offensive line that lost the great Bruce Matthews to retirement. Still a very good unit. McNair, pressure, throws out in the flat, and Mason has the first down and more.
Steve McNair had his shoulder worked on in the offseason. He had a little spur. That was a problem in between the rotator cuff area. Oh, well, but now he has total freedom in the shoulder.
Mason a year ago over 1,000 yards, the first franchise receiver in over a decade to do that. Here comes the blitz. McNair hangs in there, throws incomplete. Catchable. Mason couldn't hold on to it that time.
Talked to Jeff Fisher, Paulie. He said, you know we can run the football. Eddie's been a slow starter, really, too, so they want to work on it, but the area that they want to keep polished is the passing game.
Yeah, he said this is something, you know, he didn't like in the first game that they had this year, and this is something, well, last year, McNair had a chance to throw, but he had a bad arm, and it didn't, I mean, even though he was a 61% thrower, he still wasn't as accurate as he could be.
Fake the draw play, blitz. McNair McNair with time. Flag is down. Mason touchdown. He beat Torrey James badly. Let's check the penalty. Dick Hansack, the longtime official.
I guess his arm's all right.
I guess it is.
You know, the amazing thing about McNair was that when he said as soon as they operated on it.
Holding. Defense. Number 20. Decline. Touchdown.
McNair said as soon as they operated on his arm, it was fine. He said, I never felt so good. Look at this. Look at this throw. It is absolutely perfect.
Keep in mind, Torrey James is filling in for the retired Eric Allen, and that's his job out there. And what he showed is that you can't let people get on top of you.
James has started only 8 games in his regular season career. When he was drafted, they thought he'd be a star. It has never happened. Right now, he is in a to start at that corner. Regional Hall of Fame open on Music Row. Joe Nedney to kick to Madre Hill and Larry Ned. Fumbled by Madre Hill. Still can't find it. Live ball. And Tennessee has it. Larry Ned with the fumble. Never got a handle on it. Kicked it around.
Made a cardinal mistake. What he did was, watch what happens when he bobbles this. Now, he looks down. Now he looks up again. Instead of looking at the football and getting secure, he looks up. The ball bounces back under his legs, loses total control, and George winds up with the fumble recovery.
Tony George gets the ball for the Titans, who get a huge break early, already up 7-0. And that is not going to help the rookie's chances.
What I don't understand about Ned, though, is if you're going to get hit. Get the football. You're going to get hammered.
Reverse to Dyson. Cuts it back. 10-5. Touchdown. Kevin Dyson, 11 yards, 1 play.
Boy, I'll tell you what. This was some outstanding blocking because of one thing. Tony Bryant, number 94, read it perfectly. He's the defensive end. Look on the left side of your screen. Look at 94. He's in perfect position. He has no help to the inside. Just outstanding blocking. Eddie George got a great block.
Remember, Tony Bryant is a defensive end. Kevin Dyson is a fleet-footed, quick receiver. Instant mismatch.
Nedney for the point after. We have played 2 minutes and 25 seconds. And scored 2 touchdowns. And what a heart-sick feeling that's got to be for a rookie who's trying to make a team on special teams.
And you make a cardinal mistake at any level of football. You have to get your hands on the ball.
Madre Hill from the 5. Across the 30 to the 31.
I want to show you this touchdown. I want to show you the job by Eddie George. He's number 27 in the backfield. He moves on. You see, here's the first it's the play action fake. And then look at the hustle by Eddie George. Watch what he does. He's right there. He's right there. And then Charles Woodson is right here. Now watch what happens. Look at the extra effort. There it is. Nice block. Allowing Dyson to get in the end zone.
The Raiders offense comes out with Garner and Ritchie behind Rich Gannon. Charlie Garner stacked up at the line. And Randall Godfrey, the middle linebacker, led the charge.
What a year. What a 3 years Rich Gannon's had. 65, almost 66% completion percentage. 3,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions.
3 straight 3,000 years, 3 straight Pro Bowl. Second and 10 for the Raiders. Gannon short set under pressure. Now tries to scramble and gets a couple, no more.
The one thing that Jeff Fisher said, he said about the offense, we want to work on our passing game. Well, touchdown, excuse me. that they worked on that so far. And he said the other thing about the defense is tackle well. They didn't tackle hardly at all in their first game. He wants to see this defense at the point of attack and make some tackles.
The Raiders didn't play well in their first preseason game. Had a lot of penalties. Never got into a rhythm. 3 wide receivers set. Blitz coming. Gannon hangs in a pocket, throws. Incomplete, then intercepted by Keith Bullock. Off the hands, it appeared, of Jerry Rice, and Bullock was right there.
How many times in your lifetime, in the years that Jerry Rice has played, 18, have you seen him drop a ball like this, Joe?
Well, the big thing wasn't just the throw, but it was the pressure by that defense of the Titans.
First 3 minutes and 49 seconds. Eddie George on the draw. Again, good running room. Oh, man. Eddie George is feasting on that defense.
A lot of times interceptions are caused by pressure. Want to show you, John Thornton comes here. Godfrey goes around out there. It's just enough to create a problem for Gannon. He can't step up comfortably because here comes the pressure. Charlie Garner tries to do a nice job. Ball gets away from him. For Rice's hands, Bullock winds up with the interception.
Second and 3 after George gains 7 on first down. McNair with time. Mason to the 15-yard line. Rod Woodson brought him down. Tennessee looks pretty good, don't they?
It looks like a practice session. It really does. They're doing everything.
It looks like they picked up where they did last year. Eddie George in the backfield is the threat. McNair dropped back to pass. Mason's just running that crossing pattern. It's the third time they've run the same pattern. This time Woodson's chasing them. And that's Rod Woodson, not Charles this time, chasing them across the field. Mason
led the team last year in receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns. And those were all career highs for him. George, the single setback, this time on the toss. And the right side not quite as good as the middle and the left have been for Eddie George. Check in with Susie.
Mike, Eddie couldn't elaborate on what working with Jerry Rice meant to him, but he said the most significant thing were the unspoken things, watching and learning, just being in his presence, being in his home with his family, just watching Rice as a man. And it showed Eddie another level that he can reach. Jerry's been through all of it, the Super Bowl, Pro Bowls, Player of the Year, 14 records, and Eddie said just to be a part of it was an honor.
His work ethic, Susie, is legendary, and it's got to rub off on anybody. George, nice little cutback down to the 10-yard line. Eric Barton made the tackle. Even though he was hurt last year, he just kept playing game after game after game. That's why he has 96 in a row, the longest consecutive starting streak by any running back in the league.
You know, we talked to him the other day, and I said, Eddie, if this happened to you again this year, and God forbid that it does, I said, if you know, he said, I'm sitting down. He said, you know, he said, I was really, all I wanted to do was try to help the team, and all I did was kind of hurt these guys because I couldn't cut, I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I was not effective in this offense.
3rd and 6. McNair with time, dumps it to George. Got away from Romanowski. The 10, and then Romo got in on the tackle again. And when there's a scrum, you can always tell number 53 is in there. If there was ever a guy born to be a Raider, it's Romanowski, and he finally made it.
Well, he and George were jawing at each other to play before this, and George had his helmet off, and I think Romo just ripped it off before on the play before, on the draw play. And here they go back again, and this time again, I guess it's against Romanowski. Here goes Eddie George. Look at this. 53 is Romanowski. Now, here's the play. It's over. Now, look at this. At the end of this play is where the penalty is. It's not now. Everything is fine there. Look at Romanowski.
Grabbing at the face mask, and that's just stupid. It's one thing being an intense player. It's another committing a personal foul for no reason.
Well, I don't think this was on Romanowski, though. I think it was on
somebody.
Eric Barton, number 50, the linebacker.
Quarter ass, none given by 53.
Oh, no.
But it's first and goal from the 4 after the personal foul. McNair stumbles, gives it to Eddie George, and he'll lose a couple. Wrapped up by Rod Coleman.
The Raiders in the past have been a team that have tried to intimidate people with things like that. And they got a lot of very stupid penalties. In the last couple of years, they've been a much more disciplined football team. And that, oddly enough, is a rarity now when you look at Raider football. They don't beat themselves as much.
True.
Of course, Romo's there now, so you're not quite sure what you're going to get. He's a very intense person, as he's by Bill Callahan.
Play action by McNair. And Camilla couldn't hold it. Greg Camilla, the new fullback, they picked him up as a free agent from the New York Giants. They like him because he catches so well, but not that time.
Well, Paul, you talked about the additions that the Raiders made with Woodson and Romanowski. This, they feel like, is an excellent addition, and it really wasn't Greg's fault. It was Steve throwing behind him a little bit, but they feel like they'll get the thing they had with Lorenzo Neal here in front of Eddie George, but they also feel like they'll get somebody who can catch the ball. Caught 39 last year with the Giants.
Third and goal. George to the 1.
Well, you know, here's a play that was third down. It's a play they wouldn't even have called last year because Eddie George couldn't run, couldn't make the play. But here they are, 4th and 1, and they look like they're
going to it. Jeff Fisher waved the field goal unit back to the sideline. They'll go with a couple of tight ends, Wycheck and Kinney.
In the past, you know they'd run over Bruce Matthews. Now they've got to find somebody else or a combination up front that they believe in.
Brad Hopkins.
Out left side.
Yes.
Right side. Touchdown. And they are just eating the Raiders for lunch. The stat of the night so far, the Raiders have run 3 plays. The Titans have 3 touchdowns. It's 21-0. 6:15 to go first quarter.
5 ago, it seems like.
Well, we've done 4 games. 12 days. We're available for weddings and bar mitzvahs, but we will not do a bris. Ronald Curry on the return. Former North Carolina quarterback and point guard is down. Let's go to Susie.
Mike, as Jeff Fisher and his staff tried to put the disappointment of last season behind them, they determined that they had one major weakness last season, the inability to win close games. 10 games came down to the last 2 minutes, and what they found was they went 5-5. They couldn't
see the fans in an uproar here right now because the Titans are just waxing the Raiders. Gannon to throw on first down. Pumps and goes to Zach Crockett coming out of the backfield. Back to Susie.
So Fisher's message is finish everything you start. Well, he decided he would complete.
Tuesday, he didn't finish till sometime Wednesday afternoon.
But he finished.
Yeah, he finished.
Garner on the cross, tries to cut it back. No running room. Donald Mitchell came up from the corner. Garner had only 839 yards a year ago. He'd been over 1,000 the previous 2 years.
I love it when running backs shake their head, Joe, when they don't gain a yard. They come back up and they say, listen, I can't run if I can't get to the line of scrimmage. You got to take care of some people up front first. Then I can run.
Sometimes you have to make somebody miss. Tyrone Wheatley just only had 88 carries last year.
And now the Raiders are going to have to use a timeout on 3rd and 2. 4:54 to go first quarter. It's all Titans. Crockett is in as the deep man. He's the short yardage back for the Raiders. And Gannon fakes it to him. Sidearms one over the middle tipped, and Tim Brown almost had it on the deflection.
And
Williams couldn't hold it.
They ran a play action and only sent one man, and that's the man right there, number 81, out into the play.
Well, they also tried to get John Ritchie out, number 40, but he got tied up at the line of scrimmage, so Gannon had nowhere to go but to try and come back to Williams.
Kevin Stemke, who kicked for the Rams a week ago, is on to punt because Shane Leckler is injured. Sherman breaks it to the outside and reaches the 39-yard line.
Jeff Fisher can barely contain himself when you talk about this young man.
So much for the starters.
Skip Hicks is the new running back. Carmelo stays in as the blocking back. Carmelo on the screen. O'Donnell in the top 15 in NFL history with his passer rating of over 81. That one Super Bowl, which was heartbreaking to him. Justin McCairns and Drew Bennett are in as wide receivers.
Well,
Raiders may have jumped.
I'll tell you, Neil O'Donnell's funning with him. I mean, this is an experienced quarterback that gets a defensive line.
Encroachment. Defense. Nose contact.
Between the offensive and defensive lines a lot more. You see the spaces in between them now.
McCairns goes in motion. Skip Hicks, the veteran, chased down by Romanowski and then forced out of bounds as Torrey James comes up.
Encroachment is when you get over, when you cross this line right in here, you wind up that area there. When you get inside that area through the preseason with it.
Haven't had that many penalties, have we?
No. Again, look at the discipline of those lines.
O'Donnell out of the shotgun. And incomplete, intended for McCairns, knocked away by Torrey James.
The one thing about that rule, though, that really affects a lot of it are the tackles, Joe. And you and I talked about this yesterday, where the tackles, when they get in a two-point stance, the problem is they're so far back off the line of scrimmage, they have to get up on. Now, if they get the three-point stance, they're there.
That's another rule of emphasis. They have to have their helmet up to intersect the guards. And what happens is the guards were coming back off, and you wound up with a V-type formation. And it made it a lot more difficult for defensive ends to get around the corner.
Hendrick to punt to Barlow. From the 23 and stopped in his tracks. Excellent coverage, a 1-yard return after a 38-yard punt by Craig Hendrick.
Well, obviously the offense isn't doing what they want.
Saturday, Ritchie and Wheatley are the running backs.
Oh.
And this time Tennessee jumps it. Looked like Thornton got across early. Check it. It's Robert Smith, 98.
Encroachment. Defense. Number 98 made contact.
Rice and Brown are still the wide receivers. Gannon remains in a quarterback as the Raiders try to get anything started. Wheatley on the toss. And look at this defense swarm. They have shut down everything. Let's check in with Susie. She's with Steve McNair.
Well, before we...
Great start unlike last week. And Derek, I told him if he got bumped that he was going to get the football. He did a good job of separating.
Do you believe that the air is finally back into this? We've joked about that for a long time, but it almost seems, yes, after coming off last season and the success, that maybe the air is back.
I think so. I think they got a lot of confidence having since minicamp.
As many quarterbacks have, you've been through so many highs and lows. How do you deal with things now emotionally?
Well, I just try to stay positive of what I do, and each week I just take a different approach to it. I don't try to reminisce on what I did last week. I just go into the week different and with open mind.
They're 100%.
They're healthy.
They're 100%.
Gannon changing the play. Blitz coming. Jerry Rice across midfield into Tennessee territory.
What a job Rich Gannon did at the line of scrimmage. He took his time. He recognized the defense. He knew exactly what he had. He had a full blitz coming. Watch everybody up at the line of scrimmage. 3 quick steps. Fire the ball out to Jerry. Make Lance Schulters, the safety, make the play. Damian Sidney inside, and Jerry Rice on the patented post.
1st and 10 at the Tennessee 48. Wheatley is the single setback. Rice and Brown to the far side. Jerry Porter, the 3rd wide receiver, to the near side. Porter wrapped up immediately by Damon Sidney, who got a free ride out of that one. That's the end of the first quarter. It has been all Titans. They lead the 21-0.
Put 3 first downs together, and you don't see this very often in a preseason game, especially the second one. The starting unit of the Raiders, Bill Callahan's ball club, he still has his starting quarterback in the game. They really want to try and get something going.
Like to take everybody out on a positive note. Wheatley up the middle, breaking tackles to the 34. 21 points in the first quarter, only twice during their regular season history. Have to go all the way back to the New York Titans, and then 3 years ago against the Rams.
Well, you know, you're just talking about their offense again, so everybody understands they're going against the second unit, the Tennessee Titans.
You know, it really doesn't matter, Paul, from a Raider perspective. Forget about what's on the other side. Let's just do some good things.
I agree.
And around Reggie Barlow, there's a flag down. Now another one. Could be a face mask. Dick Hantak will sort it out for us.
Personal foul. Defense. Face mask. 15 yards. Number 93.
Let's check in with Stuart Scott. Stuart?
Catching ability. You saw his leaping ability on that.
Gannon throws complete down to the 10. See, about 2 yards shy of a first down as Rice makes the catch. Number 1 all time in everything.
Well, and that's vintage Jerry Rice coming out and nobody near him. you lay off of Jerry Rice. Well, look at this. He's got room on the outside, and this is the perfect throw.
Rich Gannon is just so composed. No matter what goes on in the field, he doesn't get riled. Just looks things over, is in total control.
2nd and 3. Wheatley is the deep man. Now Gannon wants to change the play. Gannon intended for Rice. He was covered well by Andre Dyson that time. Some of these numbers look like misprints. 1,364 catches, over 20,000 yards, 185 touchdowns. Those are all number 1 in the NFL history book, and they may never top any of these. I don't care who comes along.
No, Tim Brown's catching him.
Tim Brown is number 5 all time on the yardage list, and he is 7,000 yards behind Jerry Rice. 7,000. Randy Jordan comes in, number 28 for the Raiders. Gannon sidearms it to Tim Brown. He has his legs cut out from under him, but he's got the first down. Tony George with the big hit.
Probably the biggest challenge for the Raiders coming in this year. The change will be, of course, John Gruden was the head coach as well as the guy that called the plays for him. Now Bill Callahan has become the head coach, and Mark Trestman has become the offensive coordinator. Trestman spent a year with the Raiders last year, knows the offense. People don't realize in '95, he had Jerry Rice in San Francisco, and Rice caught 122 passes and 15 touchdowns.
1st and goal And inside the 2 goes Randy Jordan.
I don't necessarily credit the offensive coordinator with Jerry Rice catching 120-something.
You have to call the plays, though. No, I mean
those $200 ones.
First and goal. Gannon hit as he throws, incomplete. Pressure coming from Keith Bullock.
Well, I'll tell you, here's a situation where a quarterback can get hurt. Watch Gannon when he's getting ready to throw. Here comes Bullock around. Boy, he gets whacked. I'll tell you what, look at this. He hits him in the head with his hand. That should be a penalty.
Yep.
Here's
Wheatley and Ritchie, the running backs. Tyrone Wheatley straight up the middle, touchdown.
We talked about the job that the Tennessee Titan offensive line did up the middle. Barrett Robbins, number 63, the center, is back after an injury last year, and he's the traffic controller. And watch where they run. Right up the middle. Nice job by Frank Middleton, the left guard, as well. Big room up the middle.
Boy, Middleton just buried somebody. Oops. And Wheatley, coming back from injuries a year ago, only had 58 carries all last year. Janikowski for the point after. And the Raiders finally get on the board. Let's check in with Susie. She has Eddie George.
These many reps in practice, you know, I basically go off of how I feel. I'm listening to my body a lot better, and that's what I'm doing now, is just basically listening to my body and taking the carries as I go along.
Good luck for a great season, Eddie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie. John Simon on the return out to the 30. And, of course, they were talking about Bruce Matthews. 19 years in the NFL, 209 played fair.
But I think the important thing about it is he made the Pro Bowl at 3 different positions on the offensive line.
Remarkable.
And the other thing is I played long.
That's for sure. Hicks and Camella, the running backs, behind Neil O'Donnell. And O'Donnell comes out throwing and completes it to Drew Bennett, who caught 24 balls a year ago.
Well, you know, you're talking about Bruce Matthews. Just look what he did. Look at the starts by position, folks. You know, the only reason he didn't make a Pro Bowl on a tackle because he only started there, what, 39 times.
A lot of people think he was the best ever, not just in terms of longevity, but in years. Get on the board here in the second quarter. They still trail the Titans 21-7, who have it at their own 47-yard line. And Bennett able to get up and leave the field under his own power. Eddie Berlin, number 82, in his spot at wide receiver. Skip Hicks with a chance to carry the ball. Napoleon Harris with the. Let's go to Stuart Scott.
Mike, Jets Ravens, Vinny Testaverde to the very underrated Lavernius Coles. This kid is a horse. 31 yards to the house. Jets went up 7-zip. They lead 10-3. Mike, back to you.
All right, Stuart, thanks very much. And Lavernius Coles was very good in the Jets preseason game that we had.
And the Ravens are, you know, looking to rebuild. Wouldn't believe just a couple of years ago they were Super Bowl champs.
Tough to recognize the roster for the Ravens. Skip Hicks out of UCLA to midfield. Most starters lost. The Ravens lead the list, 11. The Jets lost 8. Jaguars, Redskins, and Saints.
Then, of course, Tony Baselli gone down to Houston. Still probably won't be ready for the opener.
3rd and 7. O'Donnell goes to the shotgun. High snap, pulls it down. Good protection, throws in. Intended for Coleman. Just got a hand on it. Chris couldn't bring it in.
Neil O'Donnell, another young one.
That's right. Only 13 years in the league.
Just dropping back, firing the football.
He's had a chance to go other places, but he's very comfortable here, backing up Steve McNair. And when he's had the chance to play, they haven't missed a beat. And here's the rookie that they love, Philip Buchanan out of Miami, the #1 draft choice. Last 2 years with the Hurricanes, nearly 15 yards a return. Beautiful high spiral. Signals fair catch and makes it at the 9. 41-yard kick from Hendrick, who didn't give Buchanan a chance to show his stuff. Is the new Raider quarterback, the former University of Washington star. Randy Jordan, Zach Crockett are his running backs. He wants to throw under pressure. Sacked behind Carlos Hall out of Arkansas.
Carlos Hall last week had 3 sacks in the game. There's 4 in 2 preseason games, and they still have more than half a game to go. Number 97. Look at this guy get around the outside.
Rookie on rookie. Langston Walker, their second-round pick out of Cal, is a guy a lot of people thought didn't deserve to go that high.
Well, they know he's going to be a project. That time he was beaten badly, and Hall is playing because Javon is nursing an elbow injury. Tuiasa Sopo out in the flat to Jordan. Jordan across the 10 out near the 15. Let's go to Susie with Rich Gannon.
Well, I guess there's really no nice way to put it. A rough start. Why don't you give us some insight into what was going wrong?
Well, we got to start better. It's the second week in a row. We've had mistakes. We've had penalties. We've had some miscommunication. We need to get cleaned up and start better, especially on the road.
We hear a lot about trying to get back to the run, Bill Callahan, but yet you want to be more explosive. So what offense do we expect to see?
Well, we're going to be, I think we'll be more balanced and hopefully a little bit more efficient than we were even a year ago. That's our goal, and hopefully we can accomplish that.
Rich, I think it's well documented just how close you and John Gruden are. What do you miss the most about him not being with the Raiders?
Oh, he's a pretty animated guy, and, you know, he's very much a part of my success and our success the last couple of years. And well, and the one thing we know in this business, change is constant, and people move on, and we have to move on as well, and I think we will.
The numbers are remarkable, just how close for Jerry Rice and Tim Brown last season. Now how many times do we hear Porter's name mixed into that?
Jerry's really come on. He's really kind of established himself as a kind of a go-to guy. He really came on the last part of the season last year, and he's had a great camp, so hopefully there'll be enough balls to go around for all 3 of them.
Rich, thanks.
Thanks, Susie.
And Susie, Jerry Porter is the guy that they are looking to make some of those big plays. Very athletic wide receiver, but inexperienced.
Been the MVP of the Pro Bowl the last couple of years. Get voted the best of the best.
John Simon will drop deep to wait on the punt.
Look out, folks.
Kevin Stemke, the lefty. Nice kick. Simon from the 32 makes the first man miss and has blockers. Down the sideline. Is he or what?
Did you see him change direction? There aren't many people that can do it like that quick. You talk about some great feet.
A 50-yard punt, but an 18-yard return for the South. For the dedication to fine arts.
Did not know that.
Well, you do now. Skip Hicks did not get back to the line of scrimmage. He's buried by Junior Iowani.
They have a real battle in the running back position. You've got Skip Hicks, who was here last year. Holcomb comes over from the Rams. Holcomb was a fullback basically with the Rams and has now really gone back to his natural position of tailback. Skip Hicks, 6.1 yards per carry. Really did a heck of a job filling in for Eddie George. We talked about the offense under Steve McNair, but they did run the football a fair amount.
Hicks is getting the work this week. Holcomb carried last week, 16 carries, 62 yards. Hicks, a lot of room on the draw. Hicks to the line and runs over Terrence Shaw. Gain of 13.
You know, sometimes you think, well, he's an experienced back, though, but sometimes you think when a back runs a draw and all of a sudden there's no white shirts in front of you and all the blue guys are blocking, watch the hole on the left-hand side. Oh, my goodness. Now let me get to the outside and pick up the first down. Great recognition. A little speed.
He's got it.
Another first down for Tennessee. They're at the Raiders' 38. O'Donnell, look out from behind. Hit as he throws, and it's intercepted right into the hands of Eric Barton out of Maryland. Travian Smith was the guy coming on the blitz, and he got to Neil O'Donnell from the blind side.
Well, I'll tell you, Travian Smith came around the outside. Watch this. He's on the bottom of your screen. Look at this. There's just no blocking up. He gets around to the outside and then makes the play.
Adam Hayer gives him just a little push, and Travion Smith turns the corner. I don't think these defensive tackles quite realize in preseason just how fast these linebackers are when they turn the corner.
I think the quarterbacks are going to tell them. So the Raiders, after committing a couple of turnovers, get one back and start from the 46. Sopo throws over the middle. Mondrell Fulcher, the third tight end. Not his fault.
No, I mean, there's nothing you can do. You stand there trying to do your job and get knocked down when the ball's coming out.
Raiders keep it on the ground, trying to get the first down and due to the Tennessee 43-yard line.
I guess this is a point in the game. You have the second units and both of them in there. There's some guys who are trying to make knows how to line up and take on a blocker.
Porter's the man in motion. Sopo with the fake. Then comes back underneath to Fulcher, and he couldn't hold the ball. Sopo is a rookie, only got to throw 4 passes, completed 3 of them. Was a great scrambler in college, something they'd like to do a little bit less as a professional.
75%.
That's very good. That's
Thanks,
what
Joe.
professional level?
Hey, I had my pencil out. I got it working real quick. 3 out of 4, 75%.
You are a math wizard.
Thank you so much. Don't touch my pencil either.
Terry Kirby, the multi-talented back, is in for the Raiders. Sopo on the run. Nice touch to Kirby. And Kirby's down to around the 32-yard line. Kirby football and basketball at the University of Virginia.
Some quarterbacks scramble to take off and run. Sopo does a nice job here. He steps up in the pocket. He doesn't have the quick short route. So now he just buys time. Now look at the touch. Excellent control, just lost it. To me, that's one of the most difficult throws you can make as a quarterback. Get it up and over a linebacker only about 8 to 10 yards away.
Ritchie and Kirby behind Sopo. Kirby dives forward to the 30.
One of the things that we're talking about is Sopo, not a young man, but his recognition. He's
does a good job with it.
Yeah, he's getting it.
Right.
But, you know, again, the only time you really can work on stuff like that is to play. You don't see him practice that much. You got to see it when everybody's flying around you.
2nd and 8 for the Raiders. And now Sopo will change the play. Scrambling again, throws on the run, and James Jett makes the catch inside the 15. The speedster came back on that one.
The only problem is that James Jett went out of bounds and then come back, and he can't come back and he'd be the first one to touch the ball.
This is, again, steps up in the pocket. Now, right here, look at this. Look at the lane that he has to be able to make the throw. He created the lane with his mobility and then makes the throw. Way to be on it, Master Paul.
Well, and when they stick their hat down, you know.
A couple of wide receivers. Now 3rd and 8. Blitz coming. Sopo loses the ball, goes back to get it and covers up. Jaquay Thomas out of Oklahoma State was right on top of him.
It's amazing watching a young quarterback like that. He's played behind Rich Gannon now for a year. And when you look at his mannerisms in the pocket, when he plants and steps forward, it's a little bit like Richie Gannon. Big step with the right foot, trying to use your arm to be able to get it loose. And Thomas just strips the ball away from him. But he did an excellent thing of going back, trying not to make a play with the ball, just get on it, punt it, let the defense go do their job.
Stemke will have it away now. And they let it bounce, signaled for a fair catch, but didn't get it. The ball rolls down to the 10. Raphael Cooper was back as the deep man. He came up on it, then decided against making the catch.
Well, John Ritchie runs into him, I believe, number 40, but the question is, was Ritchie being blocked in?
Dick will sort it out.
You got to give the return guy a chance to fair catch the ball, but if you're being blocked into him.
Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch. Defense number 40, 15 yards, first down.
John Ritchie. A play everybody is going to remember in the divisional playoffs last year when the Raiders to get Brady. Woodson came from the corner. It looked like a fumble. They ruled because of the tuck rule, and it was rightly called that it was an incomplete pass, and that enabled New England to go on and win that ball game. As much as the Raider fans hate the rule, it is a rule and was correctly applied.
And also, that rule will be in effect again this year. It has not been changed.
And we will have Rod Woodson with Susie right after this, or Charles Woodson right after this play. Skip Hicks trying to get around the corner. Let's go down to.
Well, 8 months after that play takes place, and you were front and center of, has your perspective changed at all?
No, it hasn't changed at all. But, you know, it's a new season, so we're just trying to concentrate on that.
Well, during training camp, the NFL officiating crew came to talk to you guys just about rules changes. How did you make a statement?
Well, we got up, the team. As a team, we got up and walked up out of that meeting just to let them know we didn't appreciate that call.
Do you use any of that as motivation?
It's definitely motivation. You know what I'm saying? If we're ever in that position again, we just want to make sure we go out there and win the game instead of leaving it in the officials' hands.
And the impact of having another Woodson out here, having Rod.
It's been good for us, positive impact on the team, and we're just looking for him to get out there and make plays for us.
Charles, thanks. Mike?
Charles Woodson, a brilliant defensive back. He has gone to the Pro Bowl each of his first 4 years. A remarkable achievement. Only 2 other guys. And look at the 2 other guys, Mike Haynes and Ronnie Lott. That is pretty exclusive company.
Tim Brown, the first time we saw Woodson, and Tim Brown, when I asked him, I said, what do you think of him? A few years ago, he said, wow. I mean, he said he can be as good as he wants to be.
Played the whole year last season with turf toe. Couldn't practice at all, but showed up for every game. Made the Pro Bowl anyway. O'Donnell. Pressure breaks down, and O'Donnell goes down at the 35. Junior Ioane again just collapsed the middle.
Here's another one of those rules, Joe, when the quarterback is sacked, that they used to stop the clock, and it benefited the offense and not the defense.
Clock running.
And the clock is running, and here they're going to go down, unless they call the timeout.
It has to be inside 2 minutes. It's not quite at 2 minutes yet, Paul.
Okay. Well, no, the clock is running.
Now it is.
Cannon waits at the 20 for the punt of Craig Hendrick. Guy's a heck of a kicker. Buchanan driven back to the 18. Great speed trying to get to the corner. He does, reverses his feet. Buchanan still on his feet across the 35 to the 38. 19 yards on the return.
I just get the feeling that he probably isn't going to start at a corner because he's playing behind Charles Woodson and Torrey James. But the fact of the matter is that he can make a contribution on the kick return team. Average almost 15 yards. Look at the speed to get to the corner. Now, his vision is such that he can look all the way back across the field and almost finds a little alley to get up the field.
He's also going to see his share of action in the next year. Tuiasosopo to throw on first down and goes to his tight end up to about the 44-yard line. Catch made by Jeremy Brigham. Clock is running, 1:34 and counting here in the half.
Tight ends caught they caught 45 balls last year for the Raiders.
Tuiasosopo steps up and throws. That one intended for Matthew Hatchett.
A lot of names out in preseason, don't they?
Sometimes you just got to move along with them.
Tuiasosopo, nice strike to Porter. Porter with a stiff arm inside the 30, breaks away inside the 20. Jerry Porter is a strong young man, 6'2", 220. That's a gain of 37. From
West Virginia.
Thank you.
Look, this is the Jerry Porter. I really believe that Jerry Porter is going to be a big key to the success that this Raider offense can have. Everybody talks about the way he's approached this year as a professional. He's working hard, coming out, studying hard. He's got two great mentors in Tim Brown and Jerry Rice. And I really believe he can be like a Sterling Sharp. He can be like an Eric Moles. He has those physical tools.
And he was primarily a safety in college because they were loaded with wide receivers at the time. Kirby underneath. Trying to get out of bounds and does.
One of the reasons why he did not play, he and Gruden were not on the same page.
Well,
John Gruden just...
They need him this year because they need to be able to get the ball down the field more. This is an offense that was basically horizontal in its nature. And vertically, you know, Jerry's not as fast as he was, and neither is Tim. The ball off.
2nd and 7. The Raiders down by 14, but driving. Kirby on the little delay near the 10. They need to reach just inside the first down.
Well, with Tuiasosopo, one of the things you do is look around because you don't have Jerry Rice and Tim Brown in the game. If you have Jerry, two guys and nobody else, he's looking at everybody.
Tuiasosopo throws for the end zone, incomplete. Hatchett was there. The pass was wide.
I'll tell you what, though, Tuiasosopo got that ball there in a hurry. That thing was on a rope.
He had a brilliant college career as a senior, threw for over 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns.
Look at this throw here, Hatchett. This ball hits him right in the hands. You've got to catch that ball, son.
Alligator armed. Short-armed it.
That means Janikowski will come on, and you're right, Paul. That should have been a touchdown. Janikowski will try from 29.
He looks svelte this year.
Looks like he's lost some weight, is in better shape. But he missed the 29-yarder.
Put the weight back on.
And a wry smile from Bill Callahan, who sees a reliable weapon go awry.
About 4 years ago, when John Gruden took over this ball club, they lost a lot of games by 3 points or less, and they felt like they had to go out and find a kicker to be able to get them to the next level. Sebastian Janikowski came out his rookie year, had a pretty good year, but he hasn't really been that stabilizing difference maker for them that they had hoped. And this has got to be a season where I think he's going to have to prove himself, because one thing I guarantee, besides change in this business, kickers move around a lot.
Oh, don't they ever.
Except for punters.
Raiders last year lost 6 regular season games, 8 or fewer points. Now, kickers are so critical. Last week, Janikowski made a couple of shortish field goals and missed 2 longer ones. Janikowski out of Florida State has had some off-the-field problems even during his college career. But there's no question how talented he is.
Another thing he's got to learn how to do is chew gum. Doesn't do it very well.
Practice.
Eddie George.
Big first half for Tennessee. They scored early and often to lead at 21-7. Let's go to Susie with Jeff Fisher.
Better execution. Those are all the things that the Raiders need to work on, and that's why we have preseason football games, to be able to practice those specific things.
All right, almost ready for the second half kickoff. First, let's check in with Susie. We'll get to Susie after the kick. Ronald Curry on the return. Hit the ground, lost the ball. Let's see if they rule him down. No signal as yet.
He was down.
Tennessee still signaling that they have the ball.
Ball was fumbled during the return.
Whoa.
Recovered by the kick. First down, Tennessee.
The recovery by Eddie Berlin as Curry put it on the ground.
Here's Curry's got up the middle, but here, this ball, boy, I'll tell you, this is awfully close.
Al, the thing you have to remember, it has to be indisputable visual evidence for it to be overturned, and I don't think it was. I think it was a fumble. I think that ball was on its way out as he was headed for the ground.
And there also a little red hanky went out.
Man, I think Coach Callahan's doing the right thing. Preseason.
Tells Dick Hancock he wants to challenge.
Oakland is challenging the call on the field of a fumble recovered by Tennessee.
Watch from this angle. Is the ball out before his knee hits the ground? Ball is loose. He's still in the air. I believe it's a good call by the official. And good hustle by the Titans to get there to make the recovery.
Remember now, the call is made fumble. It's got to be conclusive evidence that he had possession of that ball, and it looked like the ball was coming out.
What do you think?
Oh, I think it's a fumble. I really do, because the ball was coming out of his hand when he was hit.
33% of the people in the booth think it was a fumble. How about you, Mike?
I think it was a fumble.
Okay, 66 2/3%. I'm not sure. No, it's a fumble. I agree. I think it's 100%.
Way to be decisive.
I think the ball's out. Right there, he loses just as he gets hit. You'll see the ball start to come loose right here.
Look at his right arm.
Yep.
There's the ball is out. He did not have, even though the ball comes out when he hits the ground, he did not have control of the ball as he was going to the ground.
Well, I have to admit it, you guys are 1 for 1 in preseason.
Thank you.
We are?
Actually, you know what? We were right last week.
Dick Hancock has made his decision, and now he'll share.
After reviewing the play, there's no visual evidence to change the call on the field, the ball being out prior to knee or the runner being down. Oakland is charged a timeout.
Captain of the coaches before he ever got anointed head coach.
O'Donnell, short throws, complete to Justin McCairns, who breaks the tackle and gets inside the 20. Let's check in with Susie.
Well, we asked Bill Callahan what the biggest differences are going from offensive coordinator / offensive line coach to the head coach, and he said the biggest difference is the day-to-day responsibilities. When normally you show up at the facility, you walk into a room, you watch film, you break it down, and you coach all day. Now he's responsible for scheduling, for media, for PR. It's that day-to-day work. Responsible for the entire team, but he said it's a challenge, and so far he's enjoying it.
Skip Hicks on the carry, and Susie, virtually every head coach we have ever talked to said managing is the biggest difference, and as well as managing your own time. He was the offensive coordinator and tight end coach, offensive line, the last 3 years before being elevated to head coach. Was the Eagles offensive line coach before that, and at the University of Wisconsin was also the offensive line coach.
You know what's amazing is they got from San Diego, and they got linebacker Bill Romanowski, free agent, before they even had a head coach.
Yeah. That's when he was captain, before he was coach.
Hicks, nice little sidestep to get free, and Hicks inside the 10.
Of course, Skip Hicks wound up being available when Stephen Davis did such a wonderful job in Washington, and you have to wonder a little bit about the Redskins with the way Steve's run that offense. How much will Stephen Davis be a part of it? But Skip Hicks is available and able to do this because of what happened in Washington, D.C.
He's always had the speed. And now they'll bring in the sticks to measure at the 10 inches. Mike Green is the blocking back for Hicks. Play action by O'Donnell. Green out in the flat, had the first down. Traced his steps, pushed back by Keon Nash, who threw him to the ground, but he does have the first down for the second time.
Keon Nash thinks that because he's 6'3" and 215 pounds, he's going to take Mike Green, who's 6 feet and 250, and just throw him to the ground and stop him from making the first down. If he hits him and drives him back, he won't make the first down. Lessons of a young rookie.
May have worked at Albany State. It doesn't work here. O'Donnell trying to get the handoff, falls down. Hicks ends up being a delay, and it looked like somebody may have stepped on Neil O'Donnell's foot as he came out under center.
Around the line of scrimmage if you don't get away from it.
And they're all bigger than you are.
And it's bad things happen.
Raiders jump. Penalties a week ago in their opener. Second and goal from the 4. Hicks breaks one tackle, can't break the rest.
I really believe, though, probably the hardest job for any head coach in the National Football League is to be able to get a group of veterans like the Raiders have to focus in preseason. They know that they just believe they're going to be ready. And I think that's the greatest challenge that Bill Callahan has, because this team has been very sloppy in its first 2 preseason games. Rich Gannon's not going to cruise on into it. You know, Rod Woodson's not. But the fact of the matter, a lot of guys that have played a lot of football and will play, and of course those 2 guys will. But you got to get them to focus, and it's tough.
Raiders jump early again. A flag is down. Pass complete to McCairns. He reaches the 5.
First game, it looks like they're trying to make a run at that one.
Offside. Defense in the neutral zone at the time of the snap.
And Neil O'Donnell keeps his head nice and still.
See if we can do it again.
Well, at your height, it was really hard to see your head, wasn't it?
O'Donnell with a fade to Berlin, who got away with a push-off. Eddie Berlin just turned around and pushed Clarence Love out of the play, but then couldn't get to the ball.
Berlin, tight ends, different story. But outside wide receivers, very seldom, if ever, will you see an offensive pass interference call on.
Jason Witzak out of Southeast Missouri will come on to try a field goal. And knocks it straight through. And Tennessee extends its lead to 24-7 over the Raiders. In Music City, USA. Joe Nedney to kick it. Curry and Combs are deep. Combs from the 7. Nice cut. Combs across the 30. 40. Nedney knocks him out of bounds at the 47-yard line. A 40-yard kickoff return by Derek Combs. The Coliseum. Melvin Barnett and Larry Ned are the new running backs behind Tuiasosopo. It off at the ankles of Barnett, who can't hold it. Let's check in with Susie Colbert.
Mike with Kevin.
And you know, last year was last year, and we gave our best effort, but this year our best is going to be a little bit better.
You were a prime example of that. Last year, you had good numbers, but the glamour number, just 2 sacks, and you took a lot of heat. Good now.
You know, it's like night and day. I mean, I feel great. I feel I can move around, do what I want to. Everything my mind says to do, my body does. So everything's going good. Thank God.
Team yoga, you led the way.
Yeah, yoga has been awesome for me. Giving me back my mobility and flexibility in my hips, so I'm thankful.
Defense certainly have something to prove this year.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of great players with a lot of
and for Javon Curse to have the kind of year that he has to, Kevin Carter realizes that he's got to step it up a bit.
Draw play to Larry Ned, and the rookie out of San Diego State, who had the best numbers there since Marshall Falk. Javon Curse with an elbow injury, not suited up tonight.
It's interesting, which has been reworked, some incentives in it. That'll give him an incentive as they work towards a new deal for that young man.
Tuiasosopo down the middle, another completion, driving the Raiders downfield. That's Hatchett, who earlier dropped a touchdown pass.
I'm impressed.
How good is Curse when he has 10 sacks and it's a disappointing year?
Well, you know, he's just such a physical specimen, Mike, but I'm impressed with Tuiasosopo, the way he's stood in the pocket, thrown the football. He got an awful lot of work through minicamp as Rich Gannon held out till he got his new taken care of. So he's had an awful lot of work in this offense, and it shows. He's being very efficient this evening.
Working the second and third line players. Ned cuts it back to the 17-yard line.
I just think one of the things about the Raiders, too, and that's their mentality. They were down 21-0 when they came back, and they scored 7 points. And then Tuiasosopo, I don't care if it's a preseason game or not, but the fact that these guys are coming back tells me something about the Raiders.
And 8. Tuiasosopo getting Ned to where he should be.
Oh, Ned's in motion.
Tuiasosopo down the middle, incomplete.
This is indecision about not knowing where you're supposed to line up first and then where you go, and then Ned does go in motion, and when he does, he turns up the field too soon. Ned
Ball
gets 5
start.
yards.
Offense, number 43.
And Madre Hill replaces him. Draw play, Hill dives near the 16-yard line. Hill out of Arkansas, a free agent in his second year. Comes the rush on Tuiasosopo, steps up and throws, knocked away and then intercepted. Picked off by Donald Mitchell. Mitchell on the to the 48-yard line. A return of 21 yards.
Boy, that was caused by the linebacker, Peter Simon, number 59. He's the guy that gets his hands in and knocks the ball away. This is
and number 1, however. He's at 13,000 yards, some 7,000 behind Jerry Rice. Skip Hicks on the toss. Powers his way up to the 41. Let's go to Susie with Tim Brown.
You know, Tim, no doubt your numbers are impressive, but can you put that board in some kind of perspective with Jerry there at the top?
Well, that's unreachable. You know, you just have to say that guy doesn't exist and just try and do what you can do. Jerry has had a phenomenal career. It's just, you know, it's been an honor playing with him the last couple of years.
And with his addition to the team, what did that do for your game?
Well, you know, I think I've been looking for a guy on the other side to help me out. You know, the year before I had Andre Rison, he really helped out. Bringing in Jerry, his name alone, we knew would cause people not to double team me, and that was really important. And then he had a great year. You know, he caught 86 balls, 91 balls last year, so we had a great year.
When you look at the numbers for you and for Jerry, they're remarkably similar. Is it possible to have another year like that?
Well, it's possible, but we hope that our running game is a lot better than it was last year, and we don't have to catch as many balls. You know, Tyrone Wheatley is healthy now. Hopefully he'll be able to give us a lot this year, and we won't have to throw the ball as much.
As you go through the years, how do you approach each season to try to reach a new level?
Well, you know, I just try and go out and play football. You know, I don't really go into years saying I want to catch 95 balls. I want to do this. I just want to help this team win. You know, I didn't win here for a long time, so the last couple of years has been a lot of fun for me. And whatever I have to do to win, that's what I'm going to do.
Top draft choice here, Philip Buchanan. What has it been like going against him in practice?
Well, the guy is really impressive. You know, I've had a lot of guys to come around here over my 15 years with the Raiders, but there only been a few that I said, you know, this guy can maybe play. And you know, he's shown that he's going to be an NFL caliber player, and he stopped us a couple times in practice, and we don't really like that.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, Susan.
Tim Brown, class guys in the National Football League. Brown and Rice a year ago. Look at the combination. 174 catches between them. Each had 9 touchdowns.
I tell you, that's a credit to John Gruden, because the way this offense is designed, you know, literally, Tim Brown could have caught 140 balls and Jerry Rice 40 balls. I mean, it can be designed that way. The way that he crafted the offense so that there was balance, so that both of his superstars would be able to make an impact, was really impressive. John did it, and it's a test for Mark Trestman to be able to create that same balance.
Skip Hicks hit before he got back to the line and then driven back, and it was something he had to do.
Yeah.
When you've got guys like Rice and Brown, obviously with all their accomplishments, their ego, however minimal it may be, is involved, and you've got to nurse that a little bit, especially when it's not bad for the football team.
Well, you know, we talked to Tim last night about how long you wanted to play, and I remember years ago when I talked to him, he says, I want to last till I'm 30. Well, now he's a little older than that, but when you look at it, and to put Jerry Rice in perspective, he says he's out there somewhere by himself. I mean, there's just no way to even get close to what that man has done. Let me just help this football team if I can.
And they are certainly not showing any signs of being a detriment. Great block by Skip Hicks on the blitz. And Justin McCarron's appears to have the first down. We talked in the opening about the age on this ball club. There are a lot of older guys. Rice will be 40 in October. Woodson brought in as a free agent is 37. Romanowski brought in as a free agent. He's 36. So the clock is definitely ticking on this entire group.
But just look at them, though, Joe. They're all productive. Every one of these guys. They're all, well, right now, Rod Woodson is not a starter. He will be. But look they're all starters.
They have to be. For this team to be successful, I really believe every one of them has to carry the load.
And they've got to find a way to stay healthy, even in their mid-30s. O'Donnell throws out in the flat, and Shad Meyer didn't see it coming until it whizzed past him.
70, Paul, when I started and you were playing, there were only 17 guys 35 or older. When I left the game in 85, there were only 22. Now there's only 49, and we saw a number of them with this Raider ball club. And the interesting thing about the aspect of it, I think it's diet, I think it's conditioning. It's a 12-month job now. But when you also look at these Raiders, the average ball club is only a little over 26 years. So these are veterans that are not necessarily old, but experienced, and I think vital to what the team's able to do.
Well, I had the opportunity to grow up watching you play.
Work out, take about 5 weeks off, 4 or 5 weeks off. Now he takes 5 days off, right, and he's back working out. I mean, he was telling us about where they take blood samples and they tell him what he should eat, and his blood tells him what his metabolism is going to do.
Let me ask you the question that's got to come up. If they took a blood sample of yours, what would it come up?
96% Budweiser, but that's not the point. I'm not playing. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, here's a guy that they work out now. This guy right here, Romanowski. I mean, I admire this guy. This guy works out every day. They work hard. They want to play. Like Rice said before, he said, as long as I'm playing, I'm going to commit myself to hard work, nutrition, and do the things I need to do to be able to help a team. When I'm done playing is when I'll work taking a break and taking a rest.
Raiders jump off sides again. Flags are down. Free play for O'Donnell. And he throws the completed pass. After an exchange of penalties, it's 3rd and 15 for Tennessee. 4-man rush. And the protection collapsing. O'Donnell gets away from 1, but not 2. And finally buried back at the 43. Kenyon Coleman, the rookie out of UCLA, number 90, the 5th-round draft, gets credit for the sack. Here's 4th and 25. There's Buchanan.
Now, Craig Hendrick does something unique here as a punter. He'll try and kick the fat part of the ball.
Very high wobbler. Buchanan signaling fair catch and makes it on his rump at the 7. A 37-yard kick, no return. 59 seconds to go, 3rd quarter. Titans still up 17. Barnett and Hill are the running backs behind Rick Meyer, the new quarterback. Veteran who was kicked around. It won't be long now. Thursday night, September.
Open the season, and our friends at ABC get to close it with a Super Bowl telecast. We get to be bookends this year for the NFL.
Meyer throws a strike to Elijah Thurman that will be close to a first down. 15 to go in the quarter. And it is a first down, and it doesn't look like Meyer will have a chance to get off a play. And he'll go to the bench. That's the end of the 3rd quarter. The Titans continue to lead the Raiders 24-7. Anniversary.
That's gold, too, right?
Gold. Madre Hill pounds his way out to the 25.
Rick Meyer in at quarterback.
Uh-oh. Now, here's one of those deals after the play is over, the flag, and it's going to go against the Raiders. Stinchcomb, number 74, is the guy. This is one of the things they're trying to eliminate, is after the play, guys hitting people.
The thing is remember, Bill Callahan is the offensive line coach as well as the head coach. So that hits him particularly hard.
And that gets Stinchcomb a place on the sideline near the coach. Meyer with a complete pass out to the 23. Let's check in with Susie.
Mike, with Rod Woodson, 10-time Pro Bowler, 75th All-Anniversary team. When was the last time you weren't penciled in as the starter?
9 years old? Something like that. It's been a long time.
How do you adjust to that?
I just got to take it in stride. It's preseason. I had to get a feel for the defense. I'm starting to get a good feel for the defense and understand it. So we got to wait and see what happens.
You know, we keep documenting the age of this team. Does it make it any more comfortable when you come to a team that has so many veterans?
Well, I think the age is overemphasized for this team. The average age of this team, on average, is only 26 years old. So it's some of the key players. That's what it is. That's older. And you want some age on your team. You want some guys in special positions that understand the game, has been through the situations, that can lead the team when it comes down to it.
When do you think you'd be ready to be labeled as player coach? You got Philip Buchanan coming in here, and you know you can offer so much.
After we leave camp and go to Alameda, that's a better opportunity when we're getting our individual meetings, and I can talk to the young guys and let them understand the systems and understand how to pattern read and whatnot. So we got 4 more days, and we're counting down so we can break camp.
As competitive as you are, how do you think you would approach the season if you're coming in as a backup? Is something you can't handle?
Well, I'm happy to handle it if they say I'm a backup. I mean, I'm a player. I'm not the coach. The coach makes decisions what they think is best for the football team. So if they say I'm the backup, then I got to go in as a backup season. The
dominant defenses that you've played on, the Steelers, the Ravens, and then you hear so much about Raiders' mystique. Is it true?
Well, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, our first 2 games, we haven't played solid. A lot of stupid penalties. The fundamentals of the game have escaped us in this camp, and we got to get back to that if we want to be well or do well in the regular season.
Great to see you again.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Mike.
Rod Woodson, Susie, who went to the Pro Bowl, was both a corner and a safety. Right now playing behind Anthony Dorsett, who was last year's starter. Raiders trying to keep it on the ground. Madre Hill turns the corner. Flag is down at the end of this play.
Well, that's another stupid mistake by Chad Slaughter, number 78, who reaches out and grabs the guy and pulls him
to play safety for you. So Anthony Dorsett, if he can raise his level of play, will keep the job. If not, Rod will have it when the season starts.
The other thing, the experience that Rod Woodson brings to this team. Remember, this guy, when he came in, he was a corner and a very good one. And he can play any place in that defensive.
John Gruden with a very, very good football team in Tampa.
Yes, he did.
Who he has a chance to work with, and now has spent his first 6 draft choices in Indianapolis on defensive players to try and improve the defense of that ball club.
Meyer dumped that one off to Madre Hill. He's going to be well short of a first down. Romanowski, the newest 30-something Raider. Kevin Stemke is in there because Shane Leckler is nursing a calf injury. Will punt to Raphael Cooper, who waits at the 15-yard line. Cooper tells everybody to get away from him. Kicks out of bounds up near the 30-35-yard line. And when we come back, 59, just a beautiful Greek revival style building. Hicks picks up a couple. Let's check in with Susie.
With Bill Romanowski, and I would imagine for a player of your intensity, gets a little old in training camp, you want to go out and hit somebody, so we have a little highlight reel for you. You can take us through.
Yeah, right here. Eddie George just has the ball. I came from the backside and made the play. He dumped it down. I came up, made a hit, and we just had a lot of guys come to the ball. And here I'm just coming to the outside trying to contain it. Pushed him outside, out of bounds.
It seems as though the silver and black fits. What took so long for you, Raider?
It did take a long time, but, you know, I had great years in Denver and a lot of great memories, but I'm very happy to be a Raider.
Coach Callahan talked about one of the reasons they wanted you here was to bring an intensity. What were your impressions of this defense when you first saw the guys out on the field?
Well, it all comes down to attention to detail. I see guys that didn't pay attention to detail. When you take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves. Everyone's got to take care of their responsibility. As you saw in this game, defensively, we had guys over. Guys trying to do too much on defense. When you do that, you lose.
When you talk about taking care of the details, I think it would be safe to say few players have the day-to-day regimen that you did. How did that all develop?
Well, it's been a long process. It's been a 15-year process. Each year it's gotten more and more intense, and you know, it's the only way I know how to do it.
Thanks, Bill. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Susie, the best line from his teammates, and there were several of them who said the same thing. When he's with you, you just love him. When he's with you, you hate his guts.
But I'll tell you one thing, he's going to look at the film of this game, and he's going to let some people know what they did wrong. Because he said, pay attention to detail.
Ronald Curry will get an opportunity to return a Hendrick punt, perhaps. No fair catch, and he fumbles again. Curry, who lost a kickoff earlier, covers this one. A loss of 11 after a 39-yard punt. So Curry not helping tonight during this preseason game. Oakland has had 15 different people catch a football tonight. Hard to imagine that there are 15 guys eligible.
And they've had 4 or 5 drop it. Fumble.
Mondrell Fulcher makes this catch.
Rick Meyer, 10 years in the league. Actually really started in Seattle, just never really going. He was a young guy on a young team, then wound up in Green Bay, and things started to click for him in Green Bay, and all of a sudden they made the deal for him to go to Chicago, had to wind up starting, and just really wasn't ready to play. Spent some time in San Francisco the last couple years, and I think that this offense can be good for him. I think he has the type of intelligence, the type of arm and athletic ability to run this offense if he ever really gets a chance just to stay somewhere.
Well, he knows what his position is right now. It's Cannon and Tuiasosopo, and he's actually battling with Bobby Hoying for that third spot. Hoying, coming off an elbow injury, isn't ready yet. And he says when you're in this position, you have to be ready for anything they throw at you and find a way to be successful at it. Meyer out in the flat. This one's caught by Larry Ned. Breaks the tackle up to the 35.
Well, Meyer's the guy that came out with Bledsoe. And, you know, Tom Flores, who's here doing the Raiders radio, is the guy that picked him up when he was up at Seattle. But, I mean, really a great kid. I'm telling you something. He is a terrific young man. And it's amazing. He's been around 10 years.
Take a guy like Tom Brady, who happens to be in the right place at the right time when things are rolling. Sure. And all of a sudden, you know, he's catapulted into the starting job, and I think will be an excellent quarterback. I don't think he's a flash in the pan at all. Rick Meyer has unfortunately just wound up in different situations and places where either the team wasn't around him or he had to learn a new system.
Hit from behind as he throws, and I can even remember there's a flag down on the play as well. I can even back at Notre Dame when he was in an offense that didn't suit him and he was being vilified in some quarters. He was as nice a kid as you would ever meet.
And second year of that system with some people around him in Kansas City, and he's going to have to step up and play better football for that team. Those 4 guys are on the hot seat.
Big rush on the punter that time off the side of the foot of Kevin Stemke. Out of bounds, 33 yards. Back in a moment. There's 8:39 to go in this one from Tennessee. Green and Alexander are the running backs behind Billy Volek out of Fresno State in his 3rd season, listed as the 3rd quarterback. And Alexander goes down in the backfield. Ball came loose, but it looked late. And you can only imagine how Kevin Dyson hates to see this tape and how Mike Jones loves to see it. Back to the Super Bowl against the Rams. Jones with a winning tackle. Dyson a yard short of winning a Super Bowl. And we will have Kevin Dyson momentarily. Mike Jones now a Raider. I think his team is really loaded with talent, this Raider club.
They are. Just have to stop making mistakes.
They made a slew of those tonight. Alexander hitting the backfield and drop. Susie is with Kevin Dyson.
Mike, as you...
The way he can touch the ball, you know, I just want to touch the ball many times. But if I get my hands on reverse or whether catching the ball, make things happen, I just want to do it. And tonight, get my opportunity to run the ball. I think it's probably the first time in a long time I've done something like that. I think since '99 season. So, you know, it's a good opportunity for me to go out there here. Just want to do what we do our base, come out here and execute and try to do what we can and not show too much, but we do play in a few weeks.
Kevin, thanks.
Hey, no problem.
Ronald Curry trying to avoid the trifecta. He's fumbled twice already. Picks this one up late. And Curry has a seam right up the middle. Behind it, taken out at the 35. Nice return that time by the rookie. 23 yards after a punt of 61. Elvis impersonators, the way it's growing. In 20 years, 1 out of every 4 people in the country will be an Elvis impersonator.
This guy ought to sing, "Don't step on my bad-looking hairdo."
Yeah, Elvis, when the USFL used to have ball games in Memphis, Elvis used to go to the games. He was a big football fan. Leo Cahill was a coach. He used to general manager down there, and he really used to get him up in the booth, and they'd come in after the game was over because there were so many fans there, and he'd wave to him and down, and he loved it. He really enjoyed it. George Klein was a very close friend of his, lives in Memphis now, tells some great stories about the philanthropy of Elvis Presley and how he would take care of his friends, take care of the people around him, and just the wonderful person that he was. He's my favorite, all-time favorite.
And you're a Notre Dame grad.
What does that have to do with it?
Spell philanthropy.
PH.
That's a good start.
You know that guy that they showed? I just wonder, do those people walk out of their homes looking like that? I mean, they got to put this stuff in their car,
I was on the elevator
right?
with 2 of them.
How about the movie 3,000 Miles to Graceland with Costner and Russell? Christian Slater, I think, is in it. Slater's in it. It was a great movie. There were all kinds of
self-philanthropy.
They have got, you get to Vegas, they have got some great impersonators. Obviously, that's not one of them.
Look at this guy.
What was he thinking?
Oh, Toga Party. Now, that was a movie. Animal House.
This is you in about,
now, that's what you're
2
talking
hours.
about. That's what you're talking about, a movie. Animal House.
There it is. That's not the original driver's license, though, by the way.
Somebody got something going on with that guy?
Meyer, meanwhile, trying to move his team downfield, and Fulcher lets him down, drops one right in his hands.
Of course, Tennessee, when you look at these schedules for these ball divisions they play in, coach he is.
Yeah, he is.
Meyer under pressure, and down he goes. Jaquay Thomas with his 2nd sack of the night. 2nd-year player out of Oklahoma State, and 6 for the team.
Talking to Jeff Fisher about speed, and in that division you need fast linebackers who can cover people like Edgerrin James.
Short kick by Stemke, but it gets a good roll inside the 10. And we'll be down at the 7-yard line with the roll, a 49-yard kick. When we come back, Jerry Rice will be on the sideline with Susie Culver. Stay with us. Tonight, Presley or Cosell?
Hair or not hair? That is the question. I think Cosell. Striking resemblance.
Susie will have Jerry Rice in the 4th quarterback of the night for Tennessee. Chris Sanders out of Tennessee, Chattanooga. And Dad Alexander with a nice carry has a first down. Let's go down to Susie.
Well, with Jerry Rice, everybody gets a little something different out of training camp in the preseason. What do you get out of a game like tonight?
Well, you just got to keep building. You know, you got to challenge yourself and go out there and try to do a better job. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know, you go back, you be very critical on yourself. You know, I did some good things, I did some bad things, you know. And one thing about me, you know, if I have maybe 1 or 2 bad plays, you know, those are the plays I'm going to focus in on, and I'm going to try not to make that mistake again.
This off-season, what did you do differently just in terms of physically? You came back to camp heavier than you've typically been.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little heavier now, and still, you know, exhibition season is tough because you don't get that many reps, and until we in there for like a half or something like that, that's when you're going to get yourself in football shape. So, you know, but I came back stronger this year. You know, with this upcoming season, you know, things are a little shaky right now, and you know, I just don't want the guys to get down on themselves. You know, we got to fight through this and somehow, you know, turn this around, and once the regular season starts, just let it hang loose.
So many players look to you and your dedication and your work ethic, including on the other sideline. We've talked to Eddie George.
Yeah.
How do you think that all developed for you?
Well, I like to earn everything. I like to go out there. I like to work hard during the offseason, get myself ready, and I think that's why I have had longevity over the years. And, you know, Had so many great players who, you know, helped me break so many records, and I'm not the type to really just sit on the couch, be a couch potato. You know, I want to go out there during the off season and try to better myself. And like I said, you know, tonight is a tough one to swallow, but you got to challenge yourself. And you know, this team is a great team, and we're going to fight back from it.
Are you ever satisfied?
No. And I think that's why I keep working so hard. You know, you're only as good as your last game. And, you know, what I did last year, that's all gone. New year, and I got to somehow, you know, pick it up and have a better season.
Last year, the numbers were remarkable, how even they were for you and for Tim Brown. This year, do you work Jerry Porter into that mix, too?
Oh, yeah, we're going to work him in, and, you know, he's going to have to, you know, take some pressure off Tim and I, and also James Jett. So, you know, we got to get those guys the ball and let them make something happen. And, you know, Tim and I, you know, we're just going to go out there. We're going to wait for our opportunities and try to take advantage of it. But, you know, one thing about this, you know, you got guys all over the field, and we're going to have to spread the ball around.
When new guys join this team or any team you're on, whether it's a veteran like Rod Woodson or a rookie like Phillip Buchanan, do you sense that they know there's something special going up against you?
Yeah, it's always, you know, they're gonna want to challenge me, and that's really gonna make me better, you know, because I got to get my juices really going and be ready for that challenge. And you know, I have never been the type to just sit back on, you know, what I have done over the years, or you know, the way I prepare. You know, every day is a new day, and I try to better myself, you know, and just try not to make mistakes.
Have a great season, Jared.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
You know how you could tell he's been around 18 years, Joe? He said exhibition season. They've tried to get away from using that for a long time. It is now the preseason. Those used to be exhibition games.
18 years ago, they were. We have reached the 2-minute warning in Nashville. The Titans in total control since the start. Sports Center. When we started, people were wondering if we'd get to 25.
That's, boy. Jeff Fisher has to be quite pleased with what he saw this evening from his offense. Didn't start very well last week in the last game.
Hendrick had to avoid the rush, and that will be almost an automatic penalty as he had players downfield. And that ball appeared to touch one of the Raiders, and Tennessee goes after it. They got it back, but now they can force him to kick over again after a 62-yard punt. Hendrick did a good job avoiding the rush, but once a punter takes that long, he's got about 7 guys downfield too early.
Ineligible player of the kicking team down prior to the punt.
How about the whole line, Dick? I mean, only the 2 gunners on the outside are allowed to go, and you got to wait for that thump before you can move in the middle. They were all gone. That was a heads-up play, though, by Hendrick.
Of course, they've got that count in their head, 1, 2, 3, and then they take off. They have no idea what's going on behind them.
It's like in a quarterback. You just, there's a certain amount of time that you have to hold the football. It's one of the things that this offense is stressed, the West Coast style of offense that the Raiders run, the Niners run, Packers. Quarterback, it's 1 look, 2 look, 3 look, and go. That's what Bill Walsh used to try and teach, and with Joe Montana, you get the chances, but then you have to get out and make a play with your legs. Something we really didn't see out of Steve McNair tonight. Excellent runner that he is, didn't have to. Hung in the pocket, threw the ball very well.
Bad snap to Hendrick this time, and he gets it out for Ronald Curry. Curry on the run at the 42. Across midfield and chased out of bounds at the 40-yard line. 19-yard return this time by Curry.
We saw the division that the Titans will play in. Now here's the AFC West, pretty much intact from a year ago. Oakland, Denver, Kansas City, and San Diego. Expect all 3 of those to be better. Seattle now is in the NFC West. But you look at who they're going to wind up playing in the NFC. They will play the NFC West, so they'll get Seattle, Arizona, St. Louis, and San Francisco. Oakland has got a tough schedule ahead of them.
We talked about that realignment and the way the scheduling is, and I'll tell you, it really is nice that they all have to play everybody in the NFC West, which I think is kind of neat.
I like what they did, too. Certain teams will wind up playing common opponents in this first year in somewhat of a transition. But excellent job of scheduling games, creating rivalries, new rivalries,
and
keeping old ones.
with Houston creating that even number of teams that allowed them to do it, and I think it's going to work out marvelously for everybody.
The AFC East, the NFC East basically stays intact. You'll have the Cowboys and Redskins being able to play on Thanksgiving Day. Of course, it'll be Oakland, Kansas City, one of the old rivalries.
Bill Callahan will not be happy about tonight. More mistakes, turnovers, penalties.
But Rich Gannon looks like he's in total control and ready for another great season.
Meyer trying to make something happen on offense. That one's complete to Billy Davis, the veteran out of Pittsburgh.
Please don't take a timeout.
Richie Gannon very studiously paying attention to the calls even at this point. Dumps it off again. Larry Ned down to the 20. And of course, the quarterbacks have to get on the same page with Mark Trestman. Even though he was here, he was not calling the plays. John Gruden was. And everybody has a different style and a different look at the way they call plays.
And they also want to be able to put the ball down the field a little bit. Last year, their longest pass play was only 49 yards, and that was by Roland Williams, their tight end. You know, Trestman, the only time Arizona's gone to the playoff, Mark Trestman was the offensive coordinator. When he was in Cleveland, when they were in the AFC Championship game, Mark Trestman was the talked about 95 when he was in San Francisco, and Rice had the great year. And Mark actually had a chance to go to the Vikings this year and decided to stay, and Bill Callahan wanted him to be the offensive coordinator. And it was interesting, too, having a chance to talk to him today. Remember how we talked about the Washington Redskins and the fact that Steve Spurrier does not script plays?
Right.
He calls them. He said when Mark was up in Minnesota, when he came out of the University of Miami, went up to Minnesota under Bud Grant, Jerry Burns didn't script him either. So it's not, what Steve Spurrier's doing is not a new novel idea. It's just something people haven't done in a long time.
Slant inside the 10 and now down to the 5 goes Matthew Hatchett. Clock is running, 50 seconds to go. Jerry Burns was a hoot to be around, wasn't he?
Yeah, they had some darn good football teams under Bud Grant up in Minnesota, and Mike Tyson's got a chance to do something with this group again.
Good job by Meyer on away.
You talking about Jerry Burns?
I think play pretty much even par with him.
I think the guy with one of the biggest jobs out of that entire group is Mike Tice up in Minnesota. Meyer trying to scramble inside the 5, dives for a touchdown.
Go for 2.
Great hustle by Meyer, who crosses the stripe.
Good individual effort. Drop back. 1, 2. Don't have it. Take a look one more time. Tuck it, and now go.
Boy, he really exposed himself, too.
Wouldn't exactly call that elevation, but he got in.
No, I'll tell you, you talk about that was excellent clock management from Meyer and the Raiders coming. You know, the game is over.
You learned that at Notre Dame.
Well, that's one of the, you're in the 2-minute drill. That's one of the things they wanted to work on.
Jankowski, who earlier missed a field goal, knocks the extra point through, and it's 24-14.
Venture to say after the kickoff, Titans will probably take a knee.
Would you onside kick here?
You already have.
We are wrapping up
Paul
our
is taking a knee.
4th game in 12 days, and I want to thank Joe and Paul and Susie, Chip and Jay down in the truck, our entire crew for working so hard under some rather interesting circumstances, especially since we started this trek in Osaka, Japan, and have not known several times where we are or what day it is. I think you all have done a magnificent job. My hat's off to you.
As you have, Michael.
Well, I'll tell you, our crew, I mean, nobody understands what these guys have to go through. They're not seen. You don't see their names anywhere. But we know what these guys do. It's kind of easy for us. We step into the booth, sit down, and everything's taken care of for us.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you know. Well, you.
Thank you,
But these
Paul.
guys have to, I mean, they're ahead of us all the time, getting everything ready so we can sit down and do the job that we try to do.
There's part of our Cracker Jack camera crew.
Yeah.
Still awake, barely. There they are.
I haven't been home in 19 days, and someone said it looked like I lost some weight. You try to eat that soup in Japan with the little sticks. It's hard to gain weight. You know what I mean?
You're still hung up about.
I can't get out of
sushi.
Japan. Can it tell you that?
No, you can't.
And they will try the onside kick with 28 seconds to go.
There they are.
Janikowski gets that nice second hop. Flag goes down. It looks like the Raiders had been offside.
Steve Henry working on his Elvis impersonations. Wake up, Steve. Wake up, wake up. It's Tennessee.
That's right. Show him the lip,
going.
Steve.
Got the lip going. All right. Next time we get together will be for a great opener in New York City when the 49ers go in to play the Giants.
On the kickoff. That penalty is declined. The ball was last touched by the receiving team prior to going out of bounds. They're taking the result of the play. First down, Tennessee.
And that should just about do it as they decline the penalty after touching the ball. It did not go out of bounds before it was touched.
Well, we saw San Francisco over in Japan, and the thing that's interesting about that team is they have 20 of their 22 starters back this year. And it is going to be interesting to see where the San Francisco 49ers go this year. I mean, the Giants struggled a little bit last year.
Yep.
But the 49ers got everybody intact, boy. They're going to be a very good football team.
If I was going to pick one ball club that everybody is sort of overlooked when you look at the preseason polls and no one's really talked about it, would be this Tennessee Titan football team. You know, they were 13-3 in 2 successive years.
That's right.
Stumbled last year because of the injuries to Eddie George and Steve McNair. I'd expect them to come back and play a lot better football.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the Giants. They found themselves a tight end.
Yes, they did.
That kid is going to be great. Jeff Fisher with a win here at home at the Coliseum, and the Raiders will take a long flight back to Oakland on the losing end. The final score, 24-14 for Joe Theis with Paul McGuire, Susie Culver, and our entire ESPN crew. This is Mike Patrick. Good night from the Coliseum in Nashville. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.